The massive council chamber floated in space above the planet Apex Prime. Inside, representatives from over 100 alien species gathered for the monthly meeting. The room buzzed with strange sounds as creatures of all shapes and sizes talked among themselves. Some looked like giant insects, others resembled walking crystals, and many defied any earthly comparison. Ambassador Kyle Harrison stood at the speaker's platform in the center of the room. He wore his best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with Earth's symbol on the chest. Behind him stood his team of 5 humans, all trying to look confident despite the hostile atmosphere. They had prepared for this moment for 3 years. For 3 long years, Earth had followed every rule the Council imposed. Humanity had accepted weapons limits that kept their military weak. They had agreed to trade restrictions that favored alien corporations. They had accepted territorial boundaries that confined them to a tiny corner of the galaxy. All of this was supposedly temporary, just until Earth proved itself worthy of full membership. Today was the day humanity formally requested that full membership. Kyle began his speech, outlining everything Earth had accomplished. He spoke about the treaties humanity had honored, the trade agreements they had fulfilled, and the peaceful exploration missions they had conducted. His team had prepared charts and data showing Earth's compliance with every single Council requirement. The alien delegates listened in silence at first. Then, about halfway through Kyle's presentation, one of them started laughing. It was High Speaker Phrexenol, the representative from the Vraxian Empire. His species looked like enormous praying mantises, with 4 eyes and clicking mandibles. The translation device rendered his laughter as a harsh, mocking sound. Other delegates joined in. The chamber filled with alien sounds that all meant the same thing. They found this amusing. Kyle stopped speaking and waited for the noise to die down. His face remained calm, but his jaw was tight with controlled anger. Lisa Grant, his military advisor, stood behind him with her fists clenched at her sides. When the laughter finally quieted, Phrexenol rose to his full 3-meter height. His voice boomed through the translation system. The humans request full membership. These primitives, who only just learned to leave their own planet. These children who discovered faster-than-light travel by accident when one of their scientists made a calculation error. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Kyle felt his face growing hot, but he maintained his composure. Another alien stood up, this one made of living crystal that refracted light in rainbow patterns. "Let us review the facts," the Krell delegate said in a voice like wind chimes. Earth has 1 habitable planet. Their largest ship is barely 300 meters long. Their weapons technology is centuries behind our own. Why should we grant full status to such a weak species? Furthermore, added a snake-like creature from the Saloxi Collective, they still fight wars among themselves. Their world is divided into nearly 200 separate nations. They cannot even unify their own species, yet they want to join us as equals? Kyle tried to respond. We have unified for all matters relating to space and interstellar affairs. Our internal politics do not affect our ability to— Silence, Phrexenol interrupted. We have not finished. Your military is laughable. Do you know how many of our patrol ships it would take to conquer Earth? 3. Just 3 ships could destroy all of your orbital defenses and force your surrender. And you dare to request full membership? The mocking continued for another 20 minutes, one after another. Alien delegates stood to list humanity's shortcomings. They criticized Earth's technology, military, economy, and culture. They called humans weak, primitive, naive, and foolish. Some of the criticism was delivered with cold analysis, but most was said with open contempt and amusement. Kyle looked back at his team. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, his aide, was furiously taking notes. Lisa Grant looked ready to start a fight, despite being surrounded by aliens who could tear her apart. The other team members showed various degrees of anger and humiliation. Then Kyle's communication device vibrated. A message from Earth Command. Endure this. Maintain relations. We need the Council's protection. That message changed something in Kyle's mind. He thought about his past, before he became a diplomat. He had been a soldier, a veteran of the brutal Mars Rebellion, where humans had fought other humans in the cold red desert. He knew what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge. He also knew something the aliens did not. For the past 2 years, while Earth publicly followed every treaty restriction, private corporations and independent colonies had been building things, testing things, preparing things. Earth had been playing a dangerous game, appearing weak while quietly growing stronger. The mockery was reaching its peak when Kyle raised his hand for silence. Surprisingly, the chamber quieted. Perhaps they wanted to hear him beg or apologize. Instead, Kyle spoke 4 words that changed everything. We withdraw our petition. The chamber fell completely silent. Aliens looked at each other in confusion. Kyle continued, his voice growing stronger with each sentence. Furthermore, effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all existing treaties with the Galactic Council. We terminate our junior membership status. We will no longer follow your weapons restrictions. We will no longer accept your territorial limitations. We will no longer honor your trade regulations. The shocked silence continued for several seconds. Then Threxnall began laughing again. You condemn your species to destruction, human. Without council protection, every pirate and mercenary in the galaxy will prey on your weak settlements. You will be begging to return within a month. Kyle gathered his papers and looked directly at the towering alien. We will take our chances. We would rather stand alone with dignity than kneel as your subordinates. He turned to his team. We are leaving. Earth has no further business with this council. As the human delegation walked toward the exit, the chamber erupted in conversation. Most aliens seemed amused by humanity's display of wounded pride. A few looked concerned, but they were in the minority. Lisa Grant walked beside Kyle as they left. Sir, Earth Command is going to have a lot of questions about this decision. Let them ask, Kyle replied quietly. I am tired of being laughed at by species who have forgotten what it means to fight for survival. They grew comfortable and weak. They think the entire galaxy should follow their rules. Maybe it is time someone reminded them that strength is not the same as age. Behind them, the council delegates continued their discussions. Most agreed that humanity had just made a fatal mistake. They would soon come crawling back, they predicted, probably within weeks. Only the oldest species in the chamber, those whose civilizations stretched back millions of years, felt a sense of unease. They remembered an old galactic truth that the younger species had forgotten. The most dangerous predator is the one with nothing left to lose. And humanity had just lost everything. 6 months had passed since humanity walked out of the Galactic Council. The aliens expected Earth to collapse without their protection and guidance. Instead, something very different was happening. Captain Alex Termer stood on the bridge of the ECS Retribution and smiled. This ship should not exist. Under the old treaty terms, Earth could only build vessels up to 300 meters long, with limited weapons. The Retribution measured 2 full kilometers from front to back, and carried enough firepower to level a small moon. Captain, sensors are picking up a Vraxian battle group ahead, said Ensign Paul Chen from his station. I count 3 heavy cruisers and 6 destroyers. They are moving to intercept us. Alex studied the tactical display. 9 enemy ships against her 1. The Vraxians clearly thought they had the advantage. They were about to learn otherwise. How terribly predictable, Alex said. Helm, maintain current course and speed. Do not take evasive action. Her first officer, Commander Nina Walsh, looked concerned. "Captain, they outnumber us 9-1. Should we call for reinforcements?" "No need," Alex replied calmly. "Communications, open a channel to their flagship." The main view screen flickered and showed the Vraxian commander. He sat in a throne-like chair, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. His mandibles clicked as he spoke. "Human vessel, you have violated Vraxian territorial space. This region belongs to the Vraxian Empire under Council Treaty. Surrender your ship immediately and prepare to be boarded." Alex shook her head. "Negative. This region was designated Vraxian space under a treaty that no longer exists. We are not bound by those rules anymore. We recognize no territorial claims here." The Vraxian commander made a sound that the translator rendered as contemptuous laughter. "Your pathetic ship against my entire battle group? Your species' arrogance will be your extinction. Attack when ready." Alex cut the channel and turned to her weapons officer. "Fire when they do. Railgun batteries 1 through 6. Target their flagship." The Vraxian ships opened fire first. Bright streams of plasma energy crossed the space between the fleets and struck the Retribution's shields. The defensive barriers absorbed the attack with barely a flicker. The impact that should have crippled a normal ship did nothing. "Return fire," Alex ordered. What happened next would be studied by military academies across the galaxy for years. The Retribution's railguns, freed from treaty restrictions, accelerated tungsten projectiles to nearly 20% of light speed. When those projectiles hit the Vraxian flagship's shields, the kinetic energy release was equal to a nuclear explosion. The shields collapsed instantly. The second volley of railgun fire punched through the flagship's hull like it was paper. The ship's reactor went critical and exploded in a brilliant flash of light that briefly outshone the nearby star. "Remaining ships are breaking formation," Paul reported. "They are attempting to retreat." "Negative," Alex said coldly. "We did not start this fight, but we will finish it. All batteries, pursue and engage. Leave no survivors." Over the next 15 minutes, the Retribution systematically destroyed all 9 Vraxian vessels. It was not a battle, it was an execution. Across human space, similar encounters were happening. Krell mining operations discovered that human corporations no longer respected Council mining monopolies. Human ships simply showed up, pushed the Krell out, and began extracting resources. When the Krell protested, human warships arrived to enforce the claim. Salaxi slavers learned an even harder lesson. These snake-like aliens had operated slave markets in certain sectors for centuries, with the Council looking the other way. Human anti-piracy patrols did not look the other way. They destroyed slaver ships on sight, freed the captives, and left the wreckage as a warning to others. On Earth, in the sprawling military complex beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Martin Hayes reviewed the latest battle reports. Sitting across from him was Dr. Helen Cross, the Director of Special Projects Division. "The Council is furious," Martin said, scrolling through diplomatic complaints. 17 species have filed formal protests. The Vraxians are demanding we pay reparations for their destroyed ships. The Krell want their mining operations returned. Helen laughed. "Reparations? For ships that attacked us first? And return mining operations on worlds we now control? What exactly do they think gives them the right to make these demands?" "They are threatening economic sanctions." "Against what?" Helen asked. "We are not trading with them anymore. We are taking what we need. They can sanction empty space for all I care." Martin leaned back in his chair. "The Vraxians are talking about assembling a council fleet, a punitive expedition to force us back into compliance." Helen pulled up a holographic display showing hundreds of ships under construction in orbital shipyards around Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt. "Let them try. Project Olympus is ahead of schedule. We will have 20 dreadnoughts operational in 3 months, 50 in 6 months, 100 within a year." "That is a lot of military hardware," Martin observed. The Council species have been at peace for so long, they forgot how to build real warships, Helen explained. Their vessels are designed for patrols and showing off. Ours are designed to kill. We have been studying warfare for 10,000 years, Martin. We are very, very good at it. Martin nodded slowly. Some species might try diplomacy instead of force. Then they will learn another lesson, Helen said. Humans do not forget being mocked. They laughed at us, called us children, called our technology primitive. Now they will see what human children become when you push them. Halfway across the galaxy, a human freighter called Spirit of New Chicago was being boarded by pirates. The pirate captain, a Phexian named Kraz, walked into the cargo bay expecting to find frightened merchants. Instead, he found the bay empty, except for one human in civilian clothes. The man stood there calmly, hands in his pockets. "Where is your cargo?" Kraz demanded, his weapon pointed at the human. The man smiled. "You are looking at it. We are the cargo." The bay doors sealed shut. From hidden compartments in the walls, 24 human soldiers emerged with weapons raised. They wore the black armor of Earth's special forces, and their rifles were aimed at every pirate in the bay. The fight lasted less than 30 seconds. The pirates were stunned, disarmed, and restrained before they could even react. Lieutenant Commander Greg Foster removed his civilian jacket to reveal his military uniform underneath. "Send a message to the rest of the pirate fleet," he ordered his team. "Tell them the Terminus sector is now under Earth protection. Any pirate vessels found in this region will be destroyed. No warnings, no mercy, no exceptions." One of the pirates spat on the floor. "The Council will never allow this. They control these sectors." Greg smiled without humor. "The Council can file another protest," he said. "We stopped listening to them 6 months ago." Back on the Retribution, Alex Turner was composing her after-action report when Nina approached her. "Captain, I have been thinking," Nina said carefully. "The Vraxians we destroyed today, they were just following orders. They thought they were enforcing legitimate territorial claims." Alex looked up from her report. "Your point? Are we the bad guys in this situation?" Alex considered the question seriously. The Council created a system where they controlled everything. They decided which species could have weapons, which could mine certain resources, which territories belonged to whom. They made all the rules and expected everyone to follow them. When we asked to be treated as equals, they laughed at us. She stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. "We are not the bad guys, Nina. We are the species that refuse to stay weak. The galaxy operates on strength. The Council forgot that, because they have been on top for so long. We are simply reminding them that power structures can change. Even if it means war?" "Especially if it means war," Alex replied, "because the alternative is to accept permanent subordination. To let our children and grandchildren live under rules made by species that view us as inferiors. I will not accept that. Humanity will not accept that." Nina was quiet for a moment. "The Council will not let this go unanswered." "I am counting on it," Alex said, "because every time they test us, we get to show them that we are not the weak species they think we are. Eventually, they will learn, and when they do, we can talk about real peace, peace between equals, not between masters and servants." Across human space, the transformation continued. Orbital defense platforms appeared around Earth colonies. Shipyards expanded to triple their capacity. Scientists who had been restricted by treaty limitations now explored dangerous new technologies. Soldiers trained in tactics that had been forbidden under Council rules. The galaxy was changing, whether the Council liked it or not. Humanity had been caged and mocked. Now the cage was broken, and the galaxy was about to learn what happens when you humiliate a species capable of holding grudges for generations. The Council thought humanity would collapse without their guidance. Instead, humanity was thriving, and that terrified the older species more than any weapon ever could. 3 months after the Vraxian battle group was destroyed, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The mood in the chamber was completely different from the last time Earth's representatives had stood there. Fear had replaced mockery. High Speaker Threxnal addressed the assembled aliens. His mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke. The human problem must be resolved immediately. They are expanding into regions they have no right to claim. They have destroyed 17 Vraxian vessels, disrupted Krell mining operations on 14 worlds, and their warships now patrol sectors that have belonged to Council species for thousands of years. The Krell ambassador's crystalline body pulsed with agitated colors. They refuse all diplomatic contact. They simply take what they want. We attempted to negotiate the return of 3 processing facilities. The humans ignored our messages and continued mining operations as if they owned the facilities. Because we do own them now, a voice called from the chamber entrance. Every alien head turned to see humans entering the chamber without invitation or permission. Leading them was not Ambassador Kyle Harrison, but a woman in military uniform. Admiral Claire Bennett, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, walked into the chamber like she owned it. "You were not summoned to this session," the Council Arbiter protested weakly. "We do not need invitations anymore," Claire replied. Her boots echoed in the suddenly silent chamber as she walked to the center platform. "We are here to deliver a message." Frexnall rose to his full height, trying to intimidate her. "You violate every standard of diplomatic protocol. You cannot simply—" "Be quiet," Claire said flatly. The translation struggled to convey the cold authority in her voice, but every alien in the room understood the tone. Frexnall fell silent, shocked that a human would dare speak to him that way. Claire activated a holographic projector. The chamber filled with images of Earth's new military. The aliens watched in growing horror as the data displayed itself. Dreadnoughts, carrier groups, orbital weapons platforms, shield technology, railgun systems, and dozens of other weapons that violated every treaty the Council had imposed. "How?" the Saloxide delegate hissed. "You should not have the resources or knowledge to build such things. The treaties specifically prevented. The treaties prevented us from building these things while we were Council members," Claire interrupted. "We are no longer members. We are no longer bound by your rules. Did you think we would stay weak forever?" She walked closer to the platform where the Council leaders sat. "You assumed we were primitive because we were new to space travel. You forgot to ask what we did on our own planet before we met you. Humanity has been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We have fought with clubs, swords, guns, bombs, and nuclear weapons. We have spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other." The chamber was completely silent now. Claire continued, her voice hard. "You bound us with treaties designed to keep us helpless. Did you think we would not notice? Did you think we would not resent being treated like stupid children?" "The Council maintains galactic peace," the Arbiter said carefully. "If you threaten that peace with military aggression—" "We are not threatening anyone," Claire replied. "We are simply refusing to ask permission to exist on our own terms. Here are humanity's new terms. We claim the entire Orion Spur as sovereign Earth territory. That includes 70 inhabited star systems. Any vessels entering this region without permission will be turned away. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." "You cannot claim 70 systems," the Krell ambassador protested. "That region contains resources worth—" "We just did claim them," said Vice Admiral Scott Palmer, standing behind Claire. "We have already established orbital defense platforms around 32 of those systems. The rest will be secured within 1 month. Threxnall's voice shook with rage. "The Council will not allow this aggression. We will assemble a fleet that will crush your upstart species. You will learn the price of defying powers far greater than yourself." Claire smiled without warmth. "Will you?" She activated another display, this one showing detailed information about Council military forces. Ship locations, crew numbers, weapons capabilities, tactical weaknesses. We have been analyzing your forces for months. Most of you have not fought a real war in centuries. Your ships are designed for peacekeeping, not combat. Your crews are well trained for patrols, but they have no experience in actual battle. She let that information sink in before continuing. Avraxians learned this lesson 3 months ago. They sent 9 ships against one of ours. None of those ships returned home. Since then, Vraxian vessels avoid contact with human warships. The Vraxians at least learn from their mistakes. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Aliens shouted threats and demands in 100 different languages. The translators could not keep up with the chaos. Claire waited for the noise to die down. When it did not, she simply spoke louder. We are not here to destroy the Council or conquer the galaxy. We are here to establish one fact. Humanity will no longer follow your rules. We will trade with whoever we want. We will travel wherever we want. We will defend ourselves however we see fit. And if the Council opposes this, the Arbiter asked, then the Council will learn what happens when you mock a species capable of holding grudges, Claire answered. Earth offers peaceful coexistence on equal terms. Not as junior partners, not as subordinates, as equals. Accept this, and we can build a productive relationship. Reject it, and... She gestured to the military displays still floating in the chamber. You have seen what our primitive technology can do. She turned to leave. Her delegation followed. You cannot simply walk away from this council, Threxnall shouted. Claire stopped and looked back. We already walked away. 6 months ago. You were too busy laughing to notice. She met his four-eyed gaze without flinching. You taught us an important lesson. In this galaxy, respect is not given. It is taken. Thank you for that education. The human delegation left the chamber. Behind them, chaos erupted. Some species demanded immediate military action. Others urged caution. A few quietly began calculating the economic benefits of trade agreements with this newly powerful humanity. In a private meeting room, 3 representatives of the galaxy's oldest species gathered in secret. The Caliph Observer, a being of pure energy, flickered with concern. This is unprecedented, a species so young, becoming so powerful so quickly. No, replied the Vexterine historian, whose mechanical body contained a consciousness millions of years old. This has happened before. Many times. This is what occurs when a warrior species is contained and then freed. We should have anticipated this. What do we do? The Caliph asked. The Vexterine was silent for a long moment. We adapt, we survive, and we make absolutely certain never to mock them again. Wounded pride in a powerful species is catastrophic. Should we warn the Council? Asked the third being, a Nexari elder. They will not listen, the Vextarum replied. The young species still believe they can force humanity back into submission. They do not understand that some species cannot be broken. They can only be destroyed or accepted. And destroying humanity now would require a war that would devastate half the galaxy. So we accept them? We accept them as equals. It is the only logical choice. Back on Earth, in a government office overlooking the rebuilt city of New Geneva, officials debated the next steps. Some wanted to continue expanding aggressively. Others preferred to consolidate current holdings. Everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity would never again accept subordinate status. Admiral Claire Bennett stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. She pointed to the regions humanity now controlled. This is just the beginning. We have proven we can take territory and hold it. Now we prove we can build something with it. We establish colonies, develop resources, create infrastructure. We show the galaxy that humans are not just warriors. We are builders. And if the Council attacks? Someone asked. Claire smiled. Then we show them that we are also very, very good at breaking things. But I do not think they will attack. They are finally starting to understand that we are not the weak species they thought we were." She was right. The Council never assembled that punitive fleet. Instead, over the following months, individual species began quietly reaching out to Earth. Trade agreements were proposed. Technology exchanges were suggested. Defensive pacts were hinted at. The galaxy was learning to respect humanity, not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. And that, Admiral Bennett thought, was exactly as it should be. 8 months after humanity broke all treaties with the Galactic Council, the galaxy had changed dramatically. Earth controlled the Orion Spur, and no species dared challenge that control directly. But power always invites new challenges. Captain Ryan Foster commanded the destroyer ECS Defiance on routine patrol near the outer edge of human territory. His crew had been at this duty for 3 weeks, and nothing interesting had happened. That changed when Lieutenant Amy Chen called out from her sensor station. "Captain, multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Configuration matches Council fleet elements. I count 47 vessels, mixed species composition." Ryan studied the tactical display carefully. It was a significant force, but something seemed wrong. They are not in attack formation. It looks more like a diplomatic convoy. "Incoming transmission, sir," the communications officer announced. "They are requesting permission to speak with Earth authorities." Ryan raised an eyebrow. This should be interesting. Grant them permission to approach, but keep weapons ready and shields up. Get me a direct line to Admiral Bennett immediately. Several hours later, in Earth's massive orbital command station, Admiral Bennett and her senior staff received the Council delegation in a conference room designed to impress visitors. The windows showed Earth below, surrounded by orbital defense platforms and shipyards that had transformed the home system into a fortress. The Council delegation was led by Elder Kextharn, a Vextarum whose species existed millions of years before humans evolved. His mechanical body hummed softly as he spoke. "Admiral Bennett, we come to discuss terms of mutual cooperation." Bennett crossed her arms. "I was not aware we were negotiating anything. The galaxy is vast, but not infinite. Humanity's expansion will eventually bring you into conflict with powers greater than the Council. The Draxian Empire controls the northern galactic regions. The Gen Collective dominates the core systems. These are threats that make our previous disagreements seem trivial." Colonel Jack Peterson, Earth's intelligence chief, leaned forward. "We know about the larger powers. What is your point exactly?" "The Council was formed to provide mutual defense against such threats," Kextharn said. "In our arrogance, we treated you as children rather than potential allies. This was a mistake. We propose a new arrangement. Humanity as a full Council member with complete rights and privileges, but also with the responsibilities that come with such status." Bennett exchanged glances with her staff. "You understand we will not disarm. We will not accept weapons restrictions. We will not stop expanding our territory. But we hope you will coordinate expansion efforts with Council species. Cooperation benefits everyone more than conflict." Before Bennett could respond, emergency alarms blared throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed in the corridors. "Admiral," a tactical officer shouted. "Emergency transmission from our outpost in the Kepler 186 system. They are under attack." The conference room's main display switched to show a desperate transmission. Commander Lisa Grant appeared on screen, her uniform torn and blood running down her face from a head wound. "This is Kepler 186 outpost. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Repeat, not Council species. They are using weapons technology we have never encountered before. Our shields are failing. They are cutting through our defenses like they are not even there. We need immediate." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. "Colonel Peterson, get me a battle group to Kepler 186 at maximum speed. I want to know what we are facing. Kextharn's mechanical form darkened with what might have been concern. Admiral, may we offer assistance? If this is what I fear. What do you fear? Bennett demanded. The Draxian Empire has been quiet for too long. If they learned of humanity's rise and see you as a future threat, they might attempt to eliminate you before you grow stronger. Or worse, this could be the Architects. Who are the Architects? An ancient race that few species have encountered and survived. They do not communicate or negotiate. They simply analyze other species and either absorb useful traits or eliminate what they consider inefficient. They are optimization made hostile. Bennett's expression hardened. Get your ships moving. We will share tactical data during the journey. The combined human council fleet that arrived at Kepler 186 6 hours later was the first time such forces had operated together. What they found waiting was worse than anyone had expected. The human outpost was completely destroyed. Debris from the orbital platforms drifted in slowly expanding clouds, but the attackers had not left. 12 massive alien vessels held position around the wreckage, arranged in a perfect geometric sphere. Scanning enemy vessels, reported the Defiance's sensor officer. Hull composition unknown. Energy signatures do not match any known drive system. They are just sitting there, not even attempting evasive maneuvers. How big are those ships? Ryan asked. Each one is approximately twice the size of our largest dreadnoughts. On the fleet flagship, Bennett studied the tactical situation carefully. The alien vessels were not moving, not reacting, just waiting. As she watched, one of the ships began to change. Its hull rippled like liquid metal, sections rearranging themselves into a completely different configuration. They are adapting, she breathed. They watched our outpost defend itself, and now they are modifying their ships to counter our weapons. Kextharn's voice came through on a private channel. Admiral, I believe we face the Architects. As I warned, they are masters of analysis and adaptation. They study opponents and reconfigure themselves to achieve victory. How do we fight something that adapts to our tactics? The few species that survived encounters with Architects did so by being unpredictable. The Architects excel at pattern recognition and optimization, but they struggle with true chaos and creativity. Bennett allowed herself a cold smile. Chaos and creativity? Those are human specialties. She opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Admiral Bennett. Forget your training manuals. Forget standard tactics and formations. I want complete tactical freedom. Make yourselves impossible to predict. Use any strategy you can imagine. The weirder, the better. The human ships immediately broke formation. Each captain was given complete freedom to engage however they saw fit. The result was beautiful chaos. Ships performed maneuvers that made no tactical sense, fired weapons in seemingly random patterns, and used their systems in ways they were never designed for. The council ships, trained for centuries in precise coordinated tactics, struggled initially. But a few captains who had studied human military history began to understand. They started copying the chaos. Captain Ryan Foster on the Defiance decided to try something completely insane. Engineering? Cut all power to weapons and shields. Redirect everything to engines. I want maximum acceleration possible. Sir, that leaves us completely defenseless. That is the point. Do it now. The Defiance accelerated directly toward the largest Architect vessel, building speed far beyond safe combat velocities. The Architect ship tracked the approaching destroyer with its weapons, but did not fire, clearly confused by the suicide run. At the last possible moment, Ryan ordered full reverse thrust. The Defiance did not impact the Architect ship. Instead, it stopped just meters away, and the incredible heat and radiation from its engines at full power washed across the alien vessel's hull. The Architect ship had been in the middle of reconfiguring its armor to resist kinetic weapons. Caught in a vulnerable transition state, exposed to engine wash that no ship was designed to withstand. The entire vessel exploded in a cascade of secondary detonations. "Did you see that?" Ryan shouted over the fleet channel. "We do not have to use weapons. Use your engines, your gravity drives, your sensor arrays. Fight with everything you have." Other ships picked up on the tactic. One human frigate used its gravity drive to create a micro-singularity that tore an architect vessel apart from the inside. A council cruiser used its sensor array at maximum power as a directed energy weapon. A human corvette released its entire supply of reactor coolant as a cloud of superheated plasma that engulfed and disabled an enemy ship. The architects attempted to adapt, but they could not predict what humans would try next. How do you defend against enemies who fight with methods that make no logical sense? How do you optimize against pure chaos? One by one, the architect vessels were destroyed or forced to retreat. When the last enemy ship jumped to hyperspace, Bennett allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. "Damage report," she ordered. 7 ships destroyed, 14 damaged but operational. Casualty count is still coming in. "Could have been worse," Bennett said quietly. She turned to Kekstarn's hologram. "Elder Kekstarn, I believe we have much to discuss about this council membership." The ancient alien's mechanical voice carried what might have been respect. "Indeed, Admiral. It seems the galaxy needs humanity's unique approach more than we realized. Just remember this the next time you are tempted to call us primitive," Bennett replied with a slight smile. "Never again," Kekstarn assured her. 1 year after humanity walked out of the Galactic Council chamber in disgrace, Ambassador Kyle Harrison stood in that same chamber once again. But everything had changed. The room itself looked different. The old tiered seating arrangement that placed some species above others was gone. Instead, representatives sat in a circular pattern, with no seat higher than any other. Earth's position was prominent among the equals, not subordinate below them. Kyle watched as alien delegates filed in for what they called the new council's first official session. High Speaker Threxnel was not among them. The Vraxian people had replaced him with Speaker Vexana, a younger and much more practical individual who understood that the old ways were dead. Vexana approached Kyle before the session began. "Ambassador Harrison, I wish to formally apologize on behalf of the Vraxian sovereignty. The previous speaker's treatment of your people was extremely unwise." Kyle studied the alien carefully before nodding. "Apology accepted, though I suspect it comes more from practical concerns than genuine regret." Vexana's mandibles arranged in what humans had learned was a gesture of dry humor. "Why can it not be both? We Vraxians pride ourselves on learning from mistakes. Your species presented itself as peaceful and cooperative. We mistook that for weakness. We will not make that error again." As the session began, Elder Kekstarn addressed the assembled species. The ancient Vextarim had become the new council arbiter, chosen specifically because their species had never participated in mocking humanity. "We gather today to formalize the new galactic order," Kekstarn announced. "The events of this past year have changed our understanding of power, cooperation, and respect. The old council operated on assumptions that no longer serve the common good." The Arbiter activated a holographic display showing the galactic map. Human territory glowed in blue, significantly larger than it had been a year ago. But more important were the new designations: joint security zones, shared research stations, cooperative defense networks. "The architect threat reminded us of something crucial," Kekstarn continued. "We face dangers that dwarf our internal disputes. Humanity's unconventional approach to warfare proved essential in that battle. Since then, human military advisors have been training Council defense forces in what they call adaptive chaos tactics." On Earth's orbital command station, Admiral Bennett reviewed status reports with her senior staff. The past year had transformed Earth's military from a regional defense force into a major galactic power. "The integration is progressing well," Colonel Peterson reported. 15 council species have requested joint training exercises. The Vexterim want to establish combined research projects on human-computer security methods. What about the Krell? Bennett asked. Still upset about the mining facilities we took, but they have agreed to profit sharing on 3 worlds. They even admitted that our extraction techniques are more efficient than theirs were. Dr. Helen Cross, now directing the Interspecies Technology Initiative, entered with her assistant, Lieutenant Paul Chen. Admiral, we have achieved a major breakthrough. By combining human-computer systems with Kalith energy matrices and Vexterim processing algorithms, we created an artificial intelligence far more powerful than any single species could build alone. Military applications? Bennett asked directly. Extensive, but also scientific, medical, and economic benefits. This demonstrates what cooperation between equals can accomplish, rather than one species trying to dominate the others. On the frontier between human space and the mysterious Draxian Empire, Captain Ryan Foster's destroyer, Defiance, maintained patrol duties. The Empire had remained silent since the Architect incident, but intelligence reports suggested they were watching humanity very carefully. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from a Draxian vessel, Lieutenant Amy Chen reported. They identify themselves as a diplomatic courier. Ryan exchanged surprised glances with his officers. This is unexpected. Open the channel. The view screen showed a being unlike anything they had encountered. Tall and crystalline, with features that seemed to flow like frozen water, the Draxian looked both beautiful and dangerous. I am Ambassador Fexrail of the Draxian Empire. I bring a message from the Emperor. The Draxian Empire wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Why now? Ryan asked suspiciously. Because the Empire has observed your rise with great interest. You are young, but you possess something rare in this galaxy, the capacity for genuine surprise. The Emperor values novelty. It keeps existence interesting. Back on Earth, President Matthew Grant met with his advisors in a secure facility. He had been elected specifically to manage Earth's new role in galactic affairs. The question before us, Matthew said, is whether we continue expanding or focus on developing what we already control. Admiral Bennett wants to push into unclaimed territories. The Economic Council prefers consolidating current holdings. Director of Intelligence Sarah Martinez displayed classified reports. Mr. President, our analysis suggests we are not seeing the complete picture yet. The Architects, the Draxian Empire, the mysterious silence from the galactic core regions. Powers exist out there that make even the old council look insignificant. Which is why we need allies, Kyle Harrison argued via video conference. The new council structure provides that. We are stronger working together. But not controlled by them, Bennett added firmly. That is the crucial difference. We cooperate by choice, not because of imposed treaties. Matthew nodded slowly. Then we take a third approach. We expand, but we do it cooperatively. Every new system we claim, we offer council species the opportunity to co-develop. We share resources while maintaining sovereignty. We build alliances through mutual benefit rather than forced compliance. The old council would never have agreed to such terms, Sarah observed. The old council ridiculed us, Matthew replied. The new council knows better. Months later, the first joint human council colony was established on a beautiful garden world designated New Harmony. The settlement combined human agricultural methods, Krell mineral processing, Kalith energy systems, and Vexterim data networks into something greater than any single species could create. Lisa Grant, recovered from her injuries at Kepler 186, served as the colony's military liaison. She stood at an observation deck as transport ships arrived, carrying settlers from a dozen different species. Think it will work? Asked her aide, Lieutenant Jake Morrison. It has to work, Lisa replied, because the alternative is what we had before, species fighting over scraps, while real threats gather in the darkness. This colony proves we can build something better together. In the council chamber, representatives gathered for a crucial vote on creating a unified defense force combining elements from all member species, commanded by a rotating military council. Humanity will contribute 30% of the fleet, Admiral Bennett announced, but we insist on equal representation in command decisions, regardless of fleet size. Agreed, said Vexana for the Vraxians. One by one, other species added their approval. The vote passed unanimously. Kextharn addressed the assembly afterward. 1 year ago, humanity stood before this council and was mocked. Their response was to prove us wrong in the most definitive way possible. They showed us that youth does not mean weakness, and that fresh perspectives solve old problems. The ancient being paused before continuing. But humanity also demonstrated mercy. They could have pursued revenge. Instead, they offered partnership. This wisdom deserves recognition and respect. Kyle Harrison stood to speak. There is an old human saying, respect is earned, not given. Humanity earned your respect through strength. But true strength is not just the ability to destroy. It is the wisdom to know when not to. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We just want our rightful place in it. He looked around at the assembled aliens. Our ancestors looked at the stars and dreamed of finding friends and allies among them. For a while, we lost sight of that dream. Today, we reclaim it. We are not humanity alone anymore, Kyle concluded. We are humanity among equals. Together, we will face whatever challenges the galaxy presents. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval from 100 different species. This time, they were not mocking. They were accepting. As the session ended, Threxnall approached Kyle. The former High Speaker now held a minor position in trade negotiations. Ambassador, I must know something. When you withdrew from the council that day, when we were laughing at your people, did you know what humanity was capable of? Kyle smiled. I had a very good idea. Humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We became extremely skilled at it. But we also learned something important. Peace built on mutual respect is more valuable than peace enforced through dominance. And if we had attacked you then the galaxy would have learned about human warfare capabilities much faster and much more violently, Kyle answered honestly. You would have discovered what total war looks like when waged by a species that invented the concept. Threxnall's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. I am grateful we chose the slower path to understanding. So am I, Kyle agreed. War is easy. Peace is harder and more enduring. Threxnall nodded. We are learning this now. Together we may build a different future, one where trust replaces fear, and cooperation replaces animosity. That is the hope, Kyle agreed. That is why we must proceed carefully. Building something better requires real effort. Later, Admiral Bennett recorded a message for transmission to Earth. To the people of Earth, 1 year ago, we stood alone against a galaxy that considered us weak. Today, we stand as equals among the stars. But this is not the end of our journey. It is only the beginning. The galaxy holds mysteries, threats, and wonders we have not yet imagined. Humanity will face them all, not as conquerors, but as explorers, not as tyrants, but as partners. She paused, then smiled slightly. We also built some very impressive warships, just in case anyone forgets the lessons we taught. The transmission spread across Earth's communication networks. On the homeworld, people watched and understood. Humanity had been mocked and humiliated. They had responded not with immediate violence, but with determined strength. They had proven their worth, then offered cooperation instead of conquest. The blue planet that orbited an unremarkable yellow star had become something more. Earth was now a major power in galactic affairs, respected and even feared by species that had ruled the stars for millennia. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never underestimate humanity's desire for respect. Never mistake their preference for peace as inability to wage war. And most importantly, never ever ridicule them at the council. because humans remember every slight, every insult, every dismissive laugh, and they will prove you wrong, no matter how long it takes or what it costs. The old council had learned this the hard way. The new council would never forget it.